Devastating, Kent, as you said, and this is truly a heartbreaking story. And this family is going through the unthinkable.
It truly just feels like you're in a dream, and then just occasionally, like, it just hits you.
About 9 days ago, I presented a question in my community section. I asked you all how you felt about biological parents kidnapping their children back from a foster home. The overwhelming majority had a mixed opinion. It varied by circumstances. Was the child in danger, etc.? You're about to find out why I asked you guys these questions. I recently ran across a case. This case is coming out of Jacksonville, Florida, and it's covering a story of a girl who went by the name of Vanity Cabrera. Vanity will enter this world on July 15th of 2016. Vanity was energetic. She had an infectious laugh. She loved to be around people. She was a dancer, a singer, an artist. She apparently loved doing everything under the sun, and at a very young age, she was beginning to harness the world. Vanity would be born to her mother, Pamela Cabrera. She loved her daughter very much. They were close. However, Pamela had another side to her. She was diagnosed as a schizophrenic as well as having bipolar disorder. Now, when it came to Pamela managing this diagnosis, she did a pretty good job. She kept herself under control for the most part. That is, until around 2020, when she stopped taking her medication. In the year of 2020, Pamela would be arrested and booked with 3 separate assault charges for hitting 3 separate people that she didn't know. Now, due to her mental illness, when she gets to court, the judge deems her mental ill and incompetent to stand trial. Due to the circumstances surrounding the case, the judge had no choice but to drop all of the charges. But they did make notation in her file that she did have the potential to either harm herself or someone else. Although she wasn't charged, there were repercussions for her actions. Her daughter Vanity would end up being removed from the home, but she wouldn't go far. She would end up living with her aunt Whitney. Whitney and her husband would welcome Vanity with open arms. They would raise her like their own. Now, needless to say that this created friction between the family. I mean, the daughter was taken away from the mother and given to the aunt, so you know how the mother feels about the situation. But she accepts the reality and continues to see her daughter for about a year. Fast forward a year, and it's March 31st, 2022. On this day, Pamela Cabrera would go to see Vanity. But this day was a little different. It wasn't a normal visitation. Pamela showed up with a knife in her hand. On March 31st of 2022, I'm sure that something snapped in her head. If she went and abducted her at knife point, I guess she reached the point where she felt like she was ready to have her daughter back at all cost. So that day, she takes Vanity, she hops in her SUV, and she speeds off. After Vanity is taken, it wouldn't take long before the authorities would be alerted. Subsequently, she would be spotted on the road. This is when Pamela would panic and she would hit the gas, and that's when a high-speed chase would begin. This chase would become very dangerous. Pamela was reach speeds up to 90 miles per hour. She was running through red lights, driving very reckless. This chase would last 20 minutes. And the police were chasing her the entire time. This would be where my first problem would come into play. How do you all feel about police chasing a woman known to be schizophrenic and bipolar on a street going 90 miles per hour for 20 minutes straight? How do you feel about that? I know that you can factor in the fact that she abducted her own daughter at knife point. That's feasible. But to maintain a chase for 20 minutes, in my opinion, was the wrong option. Now, most of the states that I know end high-speed chases whenever it gets too dangerous. If someone's going 90 miles per hour blowing through red lights, that puts civilians, police, and the perpetrator themselves at risk. So sometimes the cops just cancel the search altogether. That way everyone can remain safe. But on this day, the police would decide to chase her for a full 20 minutes, knowing that there was a 5-year-old child inside of the car. I'll say it again, I highly disagree with that. I feel like on this day, the police should have shut off their sirens, stopped chasing, and then they should have got a couple of unmarked cars to tell her whenever she slowed down and felt like she was safe. That way, they could stalk her from a distance. But for whatever reason on that day, they decided to pursue the chase. Now, Pamela would be exiting off of an interstate. This is when the car would have a head-on collision with the pond.
We're learning more about the woman police say led them on a chase that ended with the death of a 5-year-old girl. Officers arrested 32-year-old Pamela Cabrera. Jacksonville police say that it started when they got a call about a kidnapping, and it ended when Cabrera crashed into a pond with the child inside. Just within the past hour, we learned Cabrera's mother previously said her daughter suffers from schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, and she has a child who was taken out of her custody. We have not confirmed that the child who died last night was Cabrera's daughter. I-Team investigator Ann Maxwell is looking into JSO's policy on chases like this. We begin, however, with News4Jax reporter Marilyn Parker. Marilyn, Cabrera was supposed to appear in court today.
Well, the bailiff said she unraveled and was being disruptive, so she would not be in court today. But the hearing went on anyway, and the judge set bond for over $2 million. I called Cabrera's family today. They told me they're still processing all of this and just aren't ready to talk about it yet. A 30-mile chase police called erratic at more than 90 miles per hour. It left a 5-year-old girl dead. One News4Jax viewer calls what he saw Thursday night reckless. Police say they got a call about a kidnapping, and the driver of this SUV, 32-year-old Pamela Cabrera, is a suspect. It started here at Dunn Avenue in Biscayne, where police pulled her over. An officer says he learned Cabrera and the 5-year-old in the car knew each other. Then they say the driver drove eastbound on Dunn Avenue, running every red light from Biscayne to I-95 South. Police say the driver almost hit multiple cars while changing lanes, putting other drivers in harm's way. When the suspect tried to turn onto the ramp at exit 9B, she drove into a retention pond. Police got the driver out but couldn't reach the 5-year-old because the SUV started sinking. The girl was later found at the bottom, outside of the SUV, dead. Details surrounding the kidnapping are limited. The report says a kidnapping just occurred, but doesn't say where or when. Cabrera isn't charged with the kidnapping. Some of her charges include battery on a law enforcement officer, but this charge isn't explained in the report either. And coming up tonight on News4Jax at 6, we'll show you that affidavit filed by Cabrera's mother, and we'll also look into some of her previous encounters with police. Reporting live, Marilyn Parker, Channel 4, the local station.
Now here's where the story goes left. In the first report, Jacksonville News will report that Vanity was found at the bottom of the pond and that she was ejected from the car. Now, they would do a follow-up. And on that follow-up, they would make actual mention to the official police report. Now, in the official police report, it says that Vanity was found inside of the passenger seat. You also need to understand that the first report was a direct witness who was on the scene that day, Officer Christian Hancock. This is the officer that reported to Jacksonville News that Vanity was found at the bottom of the pond. However, that statement has been redacted and they have now switched that to Vanity was inside of the passenger seat. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that this full story has not been told to the public. Now, in regards to Pamela ending up harming her daughter, you know, she had a mental illness. She's sick. You know, I honestly don't think that is something that people should be upset about. You must always remember that, you know, she had problems And I honestly don't think she set out that day to hurt her child. From testimony from her sister and her sister's husband, they said that, she loved her child. She took great care of her. It was just the mental disability that was incapacitating her. When Vanity had her accident, she was only 5 years old. She hadn't lived yet. It's tragic. It's sad. And I know that the mother is probably going to receive a lot of backlash, and I want to know what you guys think in the comment section. When Pamela was arrested for those 3 assault charges, she did spend time in a mental institution. However, they didn't hold her that long. After she was released with a relative, and with her not taking the medication and her not getting the proper help that she needed, it started to become a problem.
Pamela Cabrera remains locked up in the Duval County Jail tonight. Her family says she's pregnant. The revelation comes as formal charges against Cabrera were filed by the state attorney's office, including vehicular homicide and manslaughter of a child.
And in an interview you'll see only on News 4 Jax, reporter Renee Beninati spoke with Vanity's aunt and uncle. Joining us now. It has to be still devastating for him.
Devastating, Kent, as you said, and this is truly a heartbreaking story. And this family is going through the unthinkable. Her aunt and uncle raised Vanity like their own. While they are preparing to lay her to rest, they are also coping with the fact that her mom is behind bars at the Duval County Jail facing serious charges. Vanity Cabrera all smiles after blowing out candles at her 4th birthday party. And here, belting out her favorite Frozen song. Her aunt and uncle tell me she was little, but packed with a huge personality. What were your favorite parts about it?
Like, whatever you were doing, she wanted to help. Like, I would go and cut the grass, and she'd be like, Theo, can I go with you to cut the grass?
She was bubbly. She was one of those kids that she skipped everywhere.
Vanity lived with the two here in Jacksonville after DCF determined her mom, Pamela Cabrera, was unfit to take care of her in 2020. These challenging circumstances didn't stop Vanity from being full of life. She did not seem shy from the videos I saw.
At all. We would go to the park, and the first thing she would do is ask kids if they wanted to play.
Yeah.
But this life they all built together changed forever on March 31st. Investigators say Vanity was kidnapped by her mother from her aunt and uncle's home, then led police on a 30-mile chase, her SUV captured in this video. Cabrera crashed into this retention pond off I-95. She was pulled out alive. Little Vanity did not make it.
Again, I want you guys to leave your thoughts. How do you feel about the situation? Entirely. How do you feel about the mother? How do you feel about the kidnapping? We know the outcome is sad. It's tragic. I mean, it's terrible. I know it hurt a lot of people. And at the same time, I know that the mother had mental illness. I don't know if this had to do with a breakdown. I don't know if it was a shift in emotions. I don't know what caused her to go over there and abduct her daughter that day. But that's just not my place to judge. Again, leave your feedback in the comments. I want to know what you guys think about this story. Honestly, and don't be afraid to leave your true feelings. Everyone is gonna have a different opinion. Let's talk about this. It's a serious discussion. At the end of the day, where I stand is Pamela wasn't the only one responsible for this death. I think that the state is highly liable for this death. I think they should have called off the chase. I think that they were playing it safe, and in those moments, that's what cost Vanity her life. I mean, I can't help thinking that, but again, that's just my opinion. Rest in peace, Vanity Cabrera. I hope that you receive justice soon. I hope that your family gets all the answers that they deserve now. Right now, this family is in need. They have started a GoFundMe, which I will leave linked in the description, as well as pinned to the top of the comments. If you can help this family, please help them. They need help covering expenses. This is something that happened in the spur of the moment. So if you can, reach out.
Wilt thou go with me, sweet maid? Say, maiden, wilt thou go with me through the valley depth of shade, of night and dark obscurity, where the path hath lost its way, where the sun forgets the day, where there's nor life nor light to see. Sweet maiden, wilt thou go with me? Where stones will turn to flooding streams, where plains will rise like ocean waves, where life will fade like visioned dreams, and mountains darken into caves. Say, maiden, wilt thou go with me through this sad non-identity, where parents live and are forgot, and sisters live and know us not? Say, maiden, wilt thou go with me